How can Black women leave their toxic jobs, replace their income, and still pay their bills? Inquiring minds want to know, and that's what we're here to talk about. I'm Jackie Abram, the international best-selling and award-winning author of Hush Money: How One Woman Proved Systemic Racism in Her Workplace and Kept Her Job, and Hush Money: The Cost of Being Black in Corporate America. And I am absolutely excited about our guest today. This is a woman, just an absolute powerhouse, who has invited me on her platform here on YouTube on multiple occasions. I admire her work. You know, we have a bond in that we are both passionate about helping Black women. So I want to give just a beautiful, warm welcome to Dr. Kamani.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Jackie. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. I'm so excited to be here with your audience today.
Well, thank you so much. And Dr. Kamani, I'm going to just ask you to give us an introduction of you and what you do.
Yes. Dr. Kamani. I am originally from Chicago, but I live in California. I'm a proud Spelman alum, as you see here, and my background is Spelman. And I am a licensed clinical psychologist, toxic job survivor. So sometimes we get ashamed or whatever to say that I'm a toxic job survivor. But because of what I've gone through and how I help other Black women, I am now a toxic job liberator for Black women, and I'm co-hosting with Marissa Price the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women, which is this Saturday and Sunday, so May 18th and 19th. We're so excited to have this event and to really help Black women to freedom so they can replace their income and still pay their bills.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. And, you and I were talking offline before we did this event, and we were talking about how when I was invited to your YouTube platform, Lifting as We Climb, Consulting Wellness Services, that several of the people who follow you ended up becoming my clients. And so through your platform, they found me. They became my clients, and we were able to work together to get these women who were in these toxic jobs, settlements so that they could leave their toxic jobs. So,
That's
you know,
amazing.
it's exciting when we can help Black women, you know, either exit and have the seed
Hmm.
money to start their own business, or
Hmm.
to just basically do whatever they need to do,
Sure,
decompress, de-escalate. And
sure.
so when you told me about the virtual summit, I was particularly interested in that, and I wanted to make sure that my followers knew about it. So I
Hmm.
want you to, tell us some of the common themes, the types of experiences that Black women encounter in toxic jobs based on your experience and your expertise.
Yeah, there's so many different patterns. And thank you for providing this opportunity for me to talk about it.
Mhm.
Because on my YouTube channel, I initially started talking about it because I was in a toxic job when I started my YouTube channel. And I was going through the sense of shame about what was happening to me. I knew they were trying to silence me. So my response was that I was going to get louder. So I created a YouTube channel. And I started talking to, and other Black women started reaching out to me from around the world. And from those experiences, my own experiences, having Black women guests on my channel, my therapy clients, my coaching clients, I've observed a number of patterns. So the one pattern is as Black women that, we are often overqualified when we come into these jobs and we work very hard and we're very committed to the work. And people take advantage of that. So they see we work really hard and then they may be intimidated by us. So because of their own insecurities that we might not be able to see, we may not even recognize what's happening, but they start doing things or engaging in behaviors to make us feel like we're less than or we're not doing a good job. So then we
Right.
start working harder. And then we end
Mhm.
up experiencing burnout when we don't even recognize what's happening. So that's one pattern. So
Okay.
burnout and not even recognizing what was happening. Another pattern that I have experienced and observed and heard about is the whole phenomena of pet to threat. So pet to threat was created by three Black women researchers. I'll always give them credit because people try to steal their work. So
Mhm.
Dr. Juanita Johnson Bailey, Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Rosemary Phelps. Pet to Threat deals with when a Black woman comes into the workplace. She's sought out because of her outstanding abilities in the workplace. Oh, she's so smart. We love her. Oh my God, Jackie's saving this whole organization, right?
Right,
So
right.
Jackie's the pet. And
Mhm.
then Jackie, or whoever's listening, you're outshining other people within the workplace, and there's a shift in terms of how you're seen and treated as a threat. So then
Absolutely.
there might be the discrediting, the undermining, the character assassinations, the gossiping, the
Mhm.
putting in your place. All these different things happen. That is a pattern I see and I've experienced, and that could be extremely painful. It could be confusing when it's happening. Like, wait a minute, what just happened? Okay.
Right.
And I say to Black women, because the pattern is our response then is I'm going to work harder
Mhm.
and or I am going to try to figure out logically why this is happening, right?
Right,
And so
right.
then you go down these rabbit holes trying to figure out why this is happening. Oh my God, what happened? What happened? That is a road to nowhere. And
Hmm.
I talk to Black women about this because you're not going to be able to logically understand something that doesn't make any logical sense because you're dealing with people's own ego issues, their own projected incompetence, their own
Hmm.
projected insecurities. So they're trying to put you down or throw you under the bus to make themselves look better and to really hide their own insecurities. So I say they are the real imposters here because they don't want people
That's
to
right.
or to be revealed that they're an imposter. And that's deeply painful for them. So we have to be aware of all these different dynamics. The other
Hmm.
dynamic is that we say to ourselves, I can't leave this job because if I leave
Hmm.
this job, I won't be able to pay my bills. I'm going to end up
Right.
homeless. We start talking to other people around us who
Hmm.
then start telling us, you can't leave this good job with the good benefits. And they start projecting their fears onto us. And then we
Right.
staying at a toxic job for longer, or sometimes we start defining ourselves in terms of our job title. So
Hmm.
then you have a hard time distinguishing who you are aside from the job. You can't even identify or talk about yourself without talking about what you do for a living. But that's not who
Hmm.
you are. So when your
Right.
identity becomes merged, then it becomes even harder to leave because you define yourself, your whole
Hmm.
identity is wrapped up into that job. And then the pattern that I'm most concerned about is when Black women say, you're not going to run me out of here. I'm not going to let them win. I'm
Hmm.
going to fight them. I'm going to
Hmm.
make them respect me.
Hmm.
That's the one that I'm most concerned about because then you have Black women who are saying things to themselves, such as, um, I'm hanging on by a thread, but I'm still gonna stay and fight, right? I'm a fighter.
Right.
I'm gonna try to hang on or stick it out until I retire or till my child retires. I've
Hmm.
heard this way too many times. And the danger is that as Black women, we experience a lot of harm to us physically and or psychologically as we're trying to so-called prove things to people, which
Right.
we're never going to prove anything because they're not going
Hmm.
to do anything. They're not going to respect us anymore.
Right.
But we are the ones experiencing the harm, and not only us, our families.
Oh,
Because
yes.
if you if
Absolutely.
you have a family, if
Hmm.
you're a mother, then you are a shell of a person when you come back home because you've been fighting all day at the job. So
That's
we have to
right.
think about not only for ourselves and saving ourselves physically and or psychologically, but also our families. And what are we modeling? If you're a mother, what are you modeling to your children? Are you modeling to them people can beat you down and
Right.
terrorize you and you should just stay and stick it out and fight
Hmm.
them?
Right.
Or are we teaching them when people treat you this way, they don't deserve your presence? So
Hmm.
give what somebody said, give them the gift of your absence, okay?
There you
So
go.
find someplace else to go, maybe create your own space, whatever that is, but do
Hmm.
not stay places where people are terrorizing you or abusing you.
And see, I agree with everything that you just said. You dropped some serious gems in just helping to identify what some of those common themes are. What I will say about my approach to things is I am all for walking away from that toxic job. I am all for
Yes.
it. I
Yes.
just refuse to walk away empty-handed. In my career, as you know, I took down numerous organizations and received multiple six-figure settlements because I refuse to walk away from a toxic job empty-handed. So I go into every job hoping for the best, but preparing from day one for the worst. So that
Wow.
when it's time to exit, I don't have to wait and try to start putting together a strategy. I'm already ready to go. Okay, and all we have to do is come to terms on that dollar amount.
Yes, yes, yes. So I don't know. Somebody said something like, get ready so you'll be ready. So
That's right.
always be prepared, right?
That's right.
So as you go
Always.
into any environment, particular job environment, always be watching, be vigilant, be aware of certain things, and documentation, which we talk about all the time, is
All
so
the time.
important.
It really is. And so, as you were going through the different themes, you touched on something that was really important. You started touching on the mental
Hmm.
damage that is
Hmm.
done to Black women
Hmm.
when we allow ourselves to stay in these environments for prolonged periods of time. And
Hmm.
so, in what way can these toxic jobs affect us physically and psychologically? I'm interested in your take, being that you are a doctor who specializes in trauma-centered healing.
Hmm. There's a range of different ways. So I'll talk about what I experienced as well as what I've heard from other Black women.
Okay.
It could be things such as difficulty sleeping because you're thinking about what happened during the workday or
Yes.
what you wish you could have told somebody. It
Hmm.
might be weight gain, emotional eating, stress eating.
Yes.
It might be weight loss. You can't
Yes.
eat anything. Your
Hmm.
stomach is really unsettled. You have headaches. Your
Yes.
hair's falling out.
Hmm.
Your blood pressure is going up. You are experiencing profound sadness all
Yes.
the time. So you feel the sense of
Panic attacks.
panic attacks,
Yes.
right? That just
Hmm.
just feeling like that gloom and doom, right?
Yes.
Trauma symptoms, almost like PTSD, like
Mhm.
you're reliving traumatic events. Maybe something
Yes.
traumatic happened at the job, and you constantly are reliving that hypervigilance. You're
Yes.
always on guard.
Hmm.
You feel that there's just no way out. There's no way out. And
Absolutely.
for me, I would wake up every day with a sense of dread every single day.
Yes.
And it was a miserable existence. So you would
Hmm.
wake up, I would wake up, the alarm would go off, and I was like, oh my God, I got to go
I know.
back there. So that feeling, trying to will yourself out of your bed,
Yes.
trying to get yourself together so you can go to the job, self-talk, self-talk, self-talk. You trying to
Hmm.
get out the car and you tell yourself, it's not going to be that bad. It's not that bad. At least you have a job. You walk
Right.
into the job and you're like, oh, it is that bad. It
It
really
is
is
that
that
bad.
bad. And then all day you're masking. So you're experiencing extreme stress
Hmm.
all day
Right.
because you're pretending like things are okay. You're on top of everything and you're dying inside. You really want to cry or scream or curse people
Hmm.
out, but you are pulling it together because you know they're watching you because they
That's
are.
right.
So they're, oh, she's an angry Black woman or whatever. So then
Right.
we're very aware of how we're presenting. We're tone policing ourselves. We're
Hmm.
doing all these things. But
Right.
just think about the toll it has on you because by the
Hmm.
end of the day, once you leave that job, you are mentally, physically drained. And so what
Absolutely.
happens sometimes is that Black women start talking about the job, once they leave work. And so then the
Hmm.
job becomes all consuming. So the
Right.
cost of being at the job, it's not only when you're at the job, it's
Right.
all the time you're trying to get yourself together. And
Hmm.
then the impact it has on you when you're leaving the job or when you're not at the job, even on your weekends. So Sundays, Sundays
That's
at
right.
5 o'clock used to be really miserable for me because I knew I
Oh,
had to go back to the job.
oh yeah.
And, I've heard many, many Black women talk about crying on their way to work,
Yes.
crying leaving work, crying in the parking
Hmm.
lot. So
Yes.
those are just some of the symptoms. And just at the very extreme,
Hmm.
things that you've talked about in your
Right.
books.
Oh
So
yes.
those things can happen too in terms of thoughts of harming yourself and or
Hmm.
harming others. We have
Yes.
seen these situations happen,
Yes.
particularly with thoughts of harming self. We've seen the loss of Dr. Antoinette Bonnie Candia Bailey. She died by
Yeah.
suicide. So we really need to pay attention to these things. And then the physical part, there are things
Right.
that we may not recognize in the moment, but if you pay attention to what's happening around us, we see Black women, high profile positions. Many of them have died prematurely. I know
Yes.
the previous job that I was at, Black women, not that much older than me, dying,
Yes.
developing cancer, having heart attacks, strokes,
Yes.
all those things. We have
Mm-hmm.
to pay attention to that. And
Oh, yes.
also pay attention to the research from American Heart Association is saying that Black women are now dying at earlier ages
Mm-hmm.
because of issues of racism, sexism, all these external stressors that we experience. We
Yes.
need to pay attention. One last thing I want to say is we need to also be aware of weathering, which is, and I've had Black medical doctors on my channel talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Weathering deals with when you're under chronic stress, it can cause your organs to age at a faster rate. So
Absolutely.
all these things we have to be aware of. And when we're in a toxic work environment, we need to be able to identify and be honest with ourselves
Right.
about what is happening to us physically and or psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
and what do I need to do to start exiting out of this environment to address the source of the stress.
Absolutely. No, that's powerful. And, as you were speaking and you were going through, the different types of physical and mental manifestations that being in this toxic environment has, I went back to my experience working in higher education, modern day racism. Okay. Modern day racism is very different in the workplace than it was, let's say a decade ago. So
Right.
now what you're dealing with is you're dealing with one person who targets you because you
Mm-hmm.
are this Black woman, but
Mm-hmm.
then they inspire others in the organization to conspire
Exactly.
with them because of
Exactly.
their power, influence, and authority. So now you've got a bunch of people,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes including HR, other
Mm-hmm.
Black people, your own
Mm-hmm.
employees, and they're all working together to
Mm-hmm.
derail and destroy your career. And so, because of the multiple people, you don't
Mm-hmm.
get a break. From the time you get there to the time you leave, and then into the night as those new emails are flying in, you are constantly under a barrage of attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's where it comes from. And I'm so
Exactly.
glad you brought to light, what that manifests into.
Yes.
So,
Jackie, can I say something really quick? Is that
mhm,
you really emphasize, and I hope Black women can hear this, that we're talking about toxic systems. So
mhm,
we might think, oh, it's just this person, it's that person, I'm going to address that. No, no, no. Like I said,
mhm.
they're conspiring together. The
Yes,
system is against you. So
yes,
if you choose to go to HR, please be informed before you go there. They
that's
are
right.
working for the organization. So be
Yes.
aware of that and really prepare yourself so that you don't go in. I've done a video about this. I walked into an ambush when I went to HR.
Yes.
So be very clear about what is it that you want and how are you going to navigate in that space. Okay, so be aware of that and know that you have options, right?
That's
So
right.
the main thing I want Black women to get out of this conversation too is that you have options. You are able to replace your income. I know it might feel scary, and you might feel like, well, this is the only place where I can get money. That's not true. There are
Right.
other places where you can make money if you choose to go to another job, hopefully not another toxic job, but
Hmm.
there's other opportunities for you to make money and pay your bills and don't feel like you're stuck.
That's right. That's right. And so, Dr. Kamani, I want to talk about the Job Liberation Virtual Summit. That's what
Yes.
I really want to talk about. So, go ahead and lay it on us. Tell us about the summit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Marissa Price and I are co-hosting the Job Liberation Virtual Summit, which is May 18th and 19th. So this Saturday and Sunday, so you need to get your ticket. So
Mhm.
the virtual summit really talks about ways to address all the issues that may prevent Black women from leaving a toxic job. We are talking about all those different issues. So we have Black women speakers talking about all these topics, which I'm gonna run down. We're going to talk about all these different topics, and these are Black women who've gone through leaving a job, replacing their income, and doing well financially. So you're going to hear from them as well, in addition to me and Marissa. So we're going to kick it off with Stephanie Perry talking about job detox. She has a book coming out, but the mental part is so important because These are the lies that we start telling ourselves. This is the way that our identity becomes tied up into our job. So we need to detox, right, our
Yeah.
minds so we have the clarity and we're ready to move on, okay?
Mhm.
So people coming to the summit, they may be coming in feeling defeated or, anxious or all these other things. They will be leaving with an exit plan. So by the time that Sunday night is over,
Mhm.
by the time you will have an exit plan about how to leave your job. It is up to you about when you want to move forward with that. Nobody's saying you got to quit immediately. But
Mhm.
as Jackie said, it's important to always be ready. Okay.
Yes.
So the summit is to help you get ready. So after Stephanie Perry, we're going to have Kira talking about burnout, which we talked about earlier,
Mhm.
because we often don't recognize the signs of burnout. So how do you recognize the signs of burnout and what to do about it?
Mhm.
And then after Kira, we're going to have Kamisha Jones, who is a licensed clinical social worker, talking about mental health, ways that our mental health may be impacted in a toxic job. What are the signs that you need to be aware of so that you can address that? And then we're going to have Dr. Robin Scott talking about sleep issues, how your sleep might be impacted by a toxic job,
Yeah.
and what are the sleep routines, sleep hygiene, sleep skills, so that you can start sleeping better. Because when you don't sleep well, you don't think well, and you don't look that great either. So addressing that. And then day one ends with Alicia Renese talking about ways to connect to your joy and your dreams. So that's day one, okay, powerhouse. So
Powerful.
that's more so in terms of mindset, things to be aware of.
Yeah.
The second day is more of the practical, the how to, okay? So we're
Okay.
going to start day two with Amory Archer, the anti-HR lady. She's an
Mhm.
attorney and an HR consultant, and she's going to be talking about discrimination and severance. And then we're going to have Libria Jones talking about how to replace your income. Okay. So we're not just going to say, we're going to talk to you about how to get remote work, freelance work, contract work, if that's what you want to do. Okay. We're going to talk about toxic jobs, but not going into another toxic job. Patrice is going to be talking about side hustles, how to create a side hustle. That
Mhm.
might be your way to get out to start replacing your income when you're still at the job. Marissa and I are going to be talking about how to create your own business, utilizing the skills and talents you already have, which is
Mhm.
exactly what Marissa and I have done. And then we end day two with Dr. Roche Brown, who's a financial psychologist, a Black woman, financial psychologist. She is the woman that I work with to get my money together so that I could resign from a toxic job about 2 years ago and do well financially.
Yes.
So that's the lineup. Also want to say that some people may be fearful of coming. I've heard people fearful of coming because they think that that means they have to leave their job immediately. No, that's not true. They think that people might find out that they're at the toxic job, at the summit. No, that's not true because no one will be seen on camera. Okay. The names won't be listed anywhere. If people have a question or comment, they can change their name in the platform. So no one will know that you're there. So that's one thing. The
Yes.
other thing is we opened it up for people to sponsor Black women to come. So we still have some sponsor openings, right? So if you want to come to the summit, but you can't afford it, email me and you may be able to get one of the tickets. Now it's a limited number of tickets. So you need to email me as soon as possible because I'm going based upon who contacts me first. So
Yeah.
again, if you want to come to the summit, but you can't afford it, please email me as soon as possible, Dr. Kamani at liftingasweclimbconsulting.com so that you can get a ticket. The other thing I want to mention was that there's 3 tiers of tickets. So
Mhm.
there's general admission, where you come in those 2 days, you get the information, no recording. The second tier from that is you come in, you get the recording. So you will always have the recording. Go back, take notes, re-review things. And then you will also get my digital fillable workbook, which is the Welcome to Your Queendom digital fillable workbook. This is the workbook that I created for myself when I was still at the toxic job because I was so
Mhm.
disconnected from myself. I couldn't think straight. So the Welcome to Your Queendom digital fillable workbook, you'll receive that as well. That's the second tier. The third tier is you come, you get the recording, you get the workbook, and then that following Monday evening, you get an additional 1 hour masterclass with Dr. Roche Brown, again, the financial psychologist, about getting your financial exit plan together, particularly if you're trying to leave within the next 6 months to a year. And I forgot to mention this, During the summit, we also are going to talk about ways to address your health insurance, your options for that, retirement, and life insurance. Again, the income and the benefits, those are often the issues that keep us at a toxic job,
Right.
right? So we're going to talk
Absolutely.
about what to do about that so you don't feel stuck because of those issues.
Hmm. It is going to be a powerful, powerful event. And, I'm so glad that you are reminding folks that you don't have to use your name to be able to attend your event. You can change the name on your profile to a fictitious name. I teach a master class, as you know, how to fight discrimination in a toxic workplace. And oftentimes, the Black women who sign up for that class,
Mhm.
they're in their jobs. That's why they want to learn how to fight, but
Mhm.
they're afraid of being discovered as
Yes.
taking this class. And so
Mhm.
oftentimes they will change the name on their profile. They will not use a profile picture, or they will
Mhm.
use a fictitious one. But there are
Mhm.
ways that you can protect your identity and still get
Absolutely.
the knowledge that you need. So I encourage everyone to take this virtual summit, to register for the summit. I know you personally. I know Marissa personally. I've taken Stephanie Perry's YouTube course. She is just a powerhouse. It's going to be packed full of knowledge and excitement and, sisterhood. And so, I encourage everyone to look into the summit and to reach out to Dr. Kamani about either purchasing a ticket or getting one of those sponsored tickets if there are some available. So,
Yes. So the
mhm,
ticket, so to purchase a ticket, you just click
mhm,
the link in the description section to purchase a ticket, right? And it
mhm,
tells you more about the summit, talks about the different tiers, and if
mhm.
you want to get sponsored, right? Again, time is limited, so you need to act on that as soon as possible if you want to be sponsored, because I'm going by the time. So whenever you contact me, I'm looking at the list to see who came first.
Excellent. Well, Dr. Kamani, I just want to thank you for taking time out of a very busy schedule you have this week to come and talk to my audience. We're just really excited about the summit and the work that you're doing. And, one last thing I want to tell your audience and mine about an event that we have coming up on May 22nd. So, let me just preface this by saying, Malcolm X once said, that the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most neglected person in America is the Black woman. And the most unprotected person in America is the Black woman.
Mhm.
But what do you do when the person disrespecting, neglecting, and unprotecting the Black woman is another Black woman?
Mhm.
Inquiring minds want to know, and that's what we're going to talk about. So
Mhm.
join us on our YouTube platforms, on LinkedIn, and Dr. Kamani's other platforms. I believe you have Instagram, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, very
Mhm.
good. For just a raw, riveting, and, controversial conversation about being bullied by a
Mhm.
Black woman, and,
Yeah.
and just why that hurts so much.
Exactly. And just to also say that, this conversation is really informed by belief in Black women working together, right? So this is not about Black women coming together and trashing one another. It's not
No,
about that. What it
no.
is about is to talk about a topic, an issue that many of us have experienced. Even though
Yes.
the vast majority of my experiences have been very positive with other Black women, I've
Hmm.
had some negative ones as well. So we need
Yes.
to be able to talk about these things because this comment keeps coming up on my
Yes.
YouTube channel. Even though I've done many videos about all skin folk and kinfolk, keeps coming up. So
Yes.
that lets me know this is an issue that we need to talk about it. When we
Yes.
don't talk about issues, it doesn't make it better. We can address it. So
That's
it's
right.
important for us to really look at what's going on here. How
Right.
do we address it so that we're more aware of what to do about it? So we kind of disrupt this very dysfunctional, hurtful pattern that
Yes.
happens sometimes. So I just wanted to just preface this that this is rooted in our belief in Black women coming together and the
Yes.
pain that we experience when that doesn't happen.
That's right. That's right. So I'm just really excited to have this conversation because it is way overdue. And
True.
so thank you, Dr. Kamani, for coming on today. We'll see you back in a week or so, and
Yes.
good luck with the summit.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.